Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is well on this. Well, I'm in Kent, and for the first time in I don't know how long, we've got some rain, and it's nice and cool. And I especially am happy for that. I don't do well in the heat. So I've come along today to show you my latest journal. This one has been inspired by the recent vintage days of Artymaze and similar ones done by Yvonne Preston. So I've used a file folder, and I'll open it up and show you. But first of all, the closure is this seam binding, and there's two charms on it. There's this little heart on one side, and on this one it says strong women. May we know them, may we raise them, may we be them. I think that's very good, especially at the moment. So they just obviously tuck under there, and that just unwinds like that. Makes lovely chinky noise. It's connected through a hole with a stud, so it's nice and secure. And this front page, you can see there's some old book page here. There's an applique flower. If I turn it this way, you can see this is a scallop type pocket that's got one of my heart stitched fabrics on it, piece of lace, and this card is from Artymaze. It's got a little number stamp there, and it's got an appreciate there. That comes from GI Kerr, and it is a pocket. Inside here there's just a card of Jane Austen. Had that left over from a recent swap challenge I was involved in. So then if we open him out like this, quite a bulky journal there, so I'm just holding that down for a minute. Here I've used some vintage ledger to make an envelope, but instead of sealing the envelope as you normally would here and having this smaller bit as the flap, I've sealed it as more of a folder, and there's just a couple of little pieces of ephemera in there. Some lace here and an image, and then this flaps open, and there is a pocket here. There's a decoupage napkin there, and some collage paper there. There's two tags in here. Let's pull them out first. You can see it's not newspaper, goodness me, music paper in the background. And then there's just a large tag here that's been paperback for journaling, and that's paper that came from Graphics Fairy. Now I know it goes in there because it just came out of there, didn't it? Why is this always so awkward to do on camera? Oh, goodness me. There we go. And then there's a slightly smaller one that's also been backed, and this has just been collaged onto. There's some napkin, there's a die cut, and there's an old ticket there. But that old ticket is not an actual ticket, it's a scanned ticket. But this is actual vintage paper. This comes from a bank loan book that I have. So that goes in there. And then on the centre area, this is a very thin envelope that I put some fabric on. And then when you open it up, you've got some stamping and some decoupage, and it is a pocket, and there's just a vintage piece of paper in there. And then here the back has been decorated with a page from my lovely Sears book. So then that flaps down, that flaps over, okay. And then we come to the journal part. Now this front page is from Artymaze, and then it is, as you can see, it's quite springy, okay. So the front cover, and then I've just got an assortment of very different pages running through here. As you can see, I've used that tag as a page. This is book page, it's coffee dyed paper. This is an old book page, coffee dyed paper. This is actually tissue paper. It's got a fabric tag on the end there, but it has been coffee dyed. And this is the rose dyed paper that I did. little bit of cheesecloth at the top there for interest. This is a old cookbook. Now this was actually given to me in 1977 when I got engaged. It's not the person I married, which is why the book doesn't mean anything to me, but it was given to me in 77, so it was probably printed around that time. So it's at least 70, it's about 40 odd years old, that, so it's not really vintage, but it is old. Then there's rose paper here with fabric, and I've just done like a little collage snippet there, which I've used as a tuck spot. And this is my handmade paper, and it's got a little fabric tuck on it there. This is a copy from my Sears book, dictionary page. This is actually an envelope, and I've put a belly band on it that I've decorated, and there's just a couple of pieces of ephemera behind the belly band. Then inside the envelope there is some more pieces of ephemera. Then on the back there's a piece of an old magazine that I have, and this is truly vintage. This is 1931, that piece of paper. Then we've got rose dye paper again, a bit more lace. This book here I managed to find a few years ago, but this book was actually given as a Christmas gift because it's written in the front to somebody in 1927. So this is old paper as well, and it's not copy, it's actual old. We've got some more rose paper here. Instead of doing a normal ruffle on the sewing machine, I've just done a ruffle and I put a safety pin through it, but I have glued it all on, just a bit different. This is a bigger area from that bank loan book. This is that same vintage magazine that was on that envelope. So this is 1931, true vintage. Tea-dyed paper, book page, tiny bit of music page, dictionary. And this is actually like the fly paper from an old book. Then we've got the rose dyed paper. This is the centre, a little corner pocket with a collage topper there. And then there's a tag that comes from Artymaze. It's been backed so you can write on that. It's an ATC card that I did in a recent video, collaged. That's on cards, that's quite thick. There's another one of these safety pin ruffles. Another collage snippet. You could tuck something under there if you wanted to, because it's not stuck on all sides. There's a lot of journaling space in this book, and that's a giant paper clip. So again, obviously you can put something under there. Put dictionary, music, and this is a page from a book that I had used for inking and gluing, and I just thought that made that quite interesting, so I've left that in there. We've got tea-dyed paper with a lace edge. This is that same old paper, it's quite fragile. And this is that bank one that's actually been scribbled on, which I thought was quite interesting. Rose dyed paper, that's that vintage page. That's fabric edge again on the rose dyed paper. This is the other side of that envelope, so I've just decoupaged a cut out piece of napkin. There's a bit of ephemera inside there, and I've left the back of it plain. Dictionary page. That scanned image. This is the other side of my handmade paper. That's actually a rose petal in there. A little bit of fabric tab on the end there. You see the back of the rose petal there. There's a little cotton tab at the top of this rose dyed paper. It's the other side of that recipe book. And I've also put a pocket on the corner here. It's got a little embossed stamped circle, some fabric, some blingy diamonds there. There's a tag from the Artymaze. And then there's just a bit of a collage type image there, because the image is on top of paper and then that's been backed. You've got your rose dyed paper here again with a fabric tab, and this flips out. Obviously it could be glued and used as a tuck, but I've just left it as a fold at the moment. That's that tissue paper, rose dyed paper, that's that vintage book again, tea dyed paper, book page, the other tag, that's some vintage leather paper, and I've taped that there with my masking tape because that's not actually a sheet folded in half, that's two different pieces taped together. Tea dyed paper with a lace edge, and then that is the back of the journal. And then at the very back we've got this flip that's been stenciled and stamped. It's got one of the Artymaze roses on, it's got some cheesecloth that I've ink dyed, there's some lace, and there's a die cut number 6. Then we open that out. This again is from one of my vintage magazines, and I believe this one is 1930s. We can check that in a minute because there's another bit of this somewhere else. And then on the back of this envelope I've used some printed tissue paper over some stamping. There's a bit of collage work going on here with some of my old Sears book. There's a rose adapted train ticket from Shabby Dabby Doodah. There's a part of a copy of one of my old postcards, and then there's just a tag in this pocket here, and then that flaps back. Okay, and then if we shut that on the very back, I haven't put anything in here as yet, I'll find something, but you've got a pocket there which is the old Sears book page with some lace, and then a different type of lace, and then the main background is this Sears paper with another one of these roses. Then if we open it out, we've got complete collage on these two pages. So we've got stamping, napkin, fabric, die cut numbers, die cut fern, and then on the other part of the page, this is the other part of that book, and I still can't see the date on that. I'm sure it's 30s anyway. You've got fabric, you've got die cut, you've got frame, you've got stamping, and this napkin. Okay, so if I close it up for a minute and we flip it all the way back to the front, and then we open the front out, there it is. I knew I deliberately left the date. I'm sorry, it's not 30s, it's 50s. April the 16th, which ironically is my mum's birthday, but anyway, April the 16th, 1953. Okay, so that's that same old book. There's some more of this wildflower die cut. There's a tag, fabric with a number, different fabric. This is a large envelope that's got a tag in it, and if I pull the tag all the way out, you can see there's music paper at the back there, and this is just one of those number cards that I've put some fabric and lace on the top. Now can I get that back in, or do I need to do that off camera? There we go. So that just, I say just, but it does obviously because you saw me take it out. There you go. So that sits back in there, and I sort of mimicked that 8 with an 8. There's a bit more of my Sears page here, and again there's another pocket here. The base covering is my faux handmade paper. There's some lace and a bit more of that rose doily. So basically we've got roses running all the way through this book. And if I bring it up like this, you can see that across the spine I have not only strengthened it with my masking tape, but I've also added some inked up cheesecloth, and then I've put some of these like bands over. Seen a few people do binders with these bands, but obviously the journal is sewn in, so this is also holding the sew stitches in. Now if we open him out completely so that you can see. I'm just going to measure this for you. She says you have to find a ruler, a ruler, a ruler, a ruler. There you go. So this is, we go right from the edge there to, we'll go to 11 because I can't read my 12. So this is 11 and 7. It's 18 inches long when it's fully opened, and it is slightly over 9 inches tall. When it's folded, so that one folds over like that, that one folds together, make sure we've got our flap in, and when it's folded down like that, it actually folds down to slightly over a traveller's notebook, because it's a gnat's hair over 4.5, and obviously it's just over 9 still, that high. But the actual journal pages, now I deliberately chose varying pages, so you've got like the cover is actually just over 7, but then you've got some pages that are only 5, and then you've got other pages that are 8.25. So it's very, very varied in height inside. Okay, just for complete transparency so you understand. If anybody's interested, please message me. I will be putting this in my shop, but you can message me via here or Facebook group if you're interested. In the meantime, I'm going to be carrying on with the Love Your Desk series. So I'm going to do a very small project later on today that I'll come on and show you, that I want to use part of my Somerset magazine for. In the meantime, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed looking at my Artymaze Yvonne Preston inspired fold over journal. Have a great day, enjoy your crafting, be safe, bye for now.